The WWF, what the world is watching.
History begins the Macho Man once again as the Megapowers Explode at Wrestlemania. And tonight, Pukester, you're gonna realize that the madness was always gonna pass the media because the Macho Man, you'll never see it coming. No. Macho Man is gonna come out of nowhere. You're not gonna see it coming because I'm gonna drop the elbow. And that's it. That's the end. Because Hulkamania is dead. Ooh, yeah, dig it. Well, let me tell you something, brother. This is Wrestlemania. This is where the Mega Powers explode. And when you have the mania and the madness collide, you're gonna see that the mania was always ahead of the madness when the Mega Powers got together, because there was this entropy between us, man. And I always saw that there's this jealousy between the Macho Man and the Hulkster, because the Macho Man could never live up to the Hulkster, dude. Because, brah, this is where the power lies. And when you grab onto the largest arm of the world, you're gonna realize that you couldn't live up to the legacy, to the immortal Hulk Hogan, man. And there's only one thing you're gonna ask yourself, because what you gonna do when Hulkamania runs wild on you?
The Megapowers Explode! Here at Wrestlemania 5!
Hello. This is Slam Masters Entertainment System, where we watch the best in pro wrestling. And this is, of course, the road to WrestleMania. And, I have a couple of great guys here with me. I have, of course, my partner in State of Wrestling. I have Artuoo. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, not much. Very excited to watch a match that I remember watching live with my family the first time it happened. I'll explain that a little bit.
And
having barbecue chicken, yes.
Also joining us is from Fight Game Media. He is, Mr. Garrett Gonzales. Welcome to the show, man.
What's going on? I think we talked. I don't remember how long ago we talked, but we did a segment or an interview some time ago, and so I'm excited to be back. You mentioned WrestleMania, and WrestleMania is really a sweet spot for me. But as we were talking about earlier off air, I get to WrestleMania 32, and my intricate knowledge of WrestleMania kind of ends there. 33 through 41, I know the hits, but I have a very unique memory for some reason of a lot of WrestleMania stuff. So I'm super fired up to talk about what we're going to talk about.
I mean, I guess a lot of fans 32 for people that is the Jerry World Mania, and that is I that one I always mention because I feel like I screwed up on the main, because I think if I remember correctly, Triple H wins that belt at the Rumble.
Yes.
And he goes over Mox, and nobody in that building when he goes over Mox wanted Triple H to win.
Mox included, by the way. I don't know if you've read Mox's book, but he has a nice full chapter, I think, on that match.
Yeah, the crowd was really into they get this Mania, and people are kind of very disconnected. And I mean, obviously it's meant to be Roman's coronation, but it's the first of it doesn't quite go the way people kind of plan on that. It's always fun. So I'm with you. I think I've seen I mean, I've seen others off and on, but yeah, through 32, I'm like locked in. And then 33, is that the Taker one? Is that Taker hangs off his boots? I'm trying to like remember like off the top of my head.
33 is 33 is New Orleans. No, not New Orleans. 33 is Orlando. I think that's when the Hardys come back. I think.
That's the hosted by the New Day, Lesnar, Goldberg, and Undertaker leaves his boots in the ring. I think.
Is that against Roman?
Yes, against Roman. So it's Roman Taker and he leaves the boots in the ring. Basically.
34 is Ronda Rousey.
Yeah,
her first match. 35 is Ronda and Becky. And then then it gets like super blurry for me.
It's like what's going on? I'll occasionally like pop in, but like there's not like nothing great after.
Obviously, when you get to Cody showing up at 38 with Austin, that's very memorable. Mm-hmm. But and then the 2 nights it was 1 night in LA. When did they start doing the 2 nights? And then it gets really blurry.
Isn't it the Cody one? I think it's the Cody one. I'm pretty sure it's Cody and the Chicken.
You're right, because Austin comes back out at the end of the second night, and
I'm laughing.
Stuns everybody.
Cody's gonna love that my remembrance of his first big Mania is Cody and the Chicken. But
what about Johnny Knoxville and Sammy?
The giant hand match? Yeah. I vaguely. I think that match is kind of funny. It's like it's a little bit like it's a big like the like the TLC match, the WLC match, which I really love.
A lot of people were very upset at Dave Meltzer's review of that match.
Well, I mean, sometimes, I'll tell Larry that like I'll love something like the Dino against the Invisible Man. It gets funny. I'm gonna I want to set the stage on this. So effectively, NBC used to run these super cards, and they ran the first one, which is main event. They would run the Saturday night's main event, but they ran these Friday cards. Credit to Ebersol, he saw that, he would put them on like national TV, and like I was explaining that like I was watching it with my family. So they've done the Andre match, so they do send the main event one, which is a famous thing with the twin refs. If you've never seen it, people should see it. It's kind of one of these moments, and like Hogan gets angry at the 2 refs, and it's really cool. And
do you remember what the original story was of why there were 2 refs with the same face?
Oh, because they $1 Million Man. Because I remember this because my uncle, the judge, was like, my uncle was a federal judge, and he would like he looked at me when they explained the story. It's like, well, this is kind of stupid. Because again, I was watching it with my family who would have a barbecue, big family barbecue, and this is a big thing. I mean, 33 million people watch it, so like people like at a party like Mania were watching this thing. And the story was like, I think $1 Million Man paid to have a man have surgery.
Yes.
Right. So he would look like Earl Hebner, and it was a ringer ref who would do a fast count so Andre could win the belt off Hogan because Hogan could not show up. But it's really kind of it's a very wrestling angle.
It's so wacky.
So wacky. It's a very WWE angle, actually, honestly. Like very, very, very wacky.
Well, I mean, you have to you're taking the belt off Hogan for the first time since he won it in '84, in January of '84. So it's a 4-year run, and they don't want to beat him clean. And he's going off to do no holds barred. So he's eventually coming back.
Garrett, say it with me. It's not going to work for him, brother.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he was at that point in his career yet where he was just calling shots constantly. Eric Bischoff gave him that power. But the thing about that match, and the reason why we're talking about that match as a prelude to this match, is because for this show they kind of ran the same playbook as in '88, which was the first time that they did this, which was to utilize the NBC time slot on Friday night in prime time, by the way. And so that morning, my local newspaper, the San Jose Mercury News, I read in the paper that Hogan is going to lose this match, and he's going to lose because of the twin referees. Now, I was watching enough NWA back then, even as a 11-year-old kid, to where I knew that Dave Hebner was a referee for
Yes,
one of the
yes,
companies, and
yes.
Earl Hebner was a referee for the other. So that made sense to me. The way that the storyline was explained, I was like, oh, because they have the referees are twins.
They heard it,
That's
yeah.
very easy. And
I think
so
people should understand that the difference wasn't like people who watch like so Garrett was 11, I was 14. It's like I'm putting my age out. Like so I was like a teen. So like teens watching like the older like essentially WCW was a little bit more adult. So like where like the kids would like WWE's always been more like kid friendly essentially like in that era. So I think that like yeah I mean like we were aware but like a lot of the fan base is not going to be aware of the Dave Hebner thing. And it's not like the world like it was right. So like
right. So, so when I read this, you know, I go to school and I'm just telling everybody who has any sort of interest in Hogan and Andre. And back then, you know, when I was probably like in 7th or 8th grade, I don't, probably 7th grade, you know, there was still some interest in Hulk Hogan, like Hulkamania. He's still the big thing. And, you know, at 11 years old, you're kind of still into pro wrestling. And so everyone's like, no way, this is crazy. How are they going to do it? I don't believe you. How do you even know? And so then come Monday, when I was right, you know, I was the man that day. I was like Nostradamus and, you know, the coolest dude for a day. But, you know, I was trying to piece together how Mark Purdy was the San Jose Mercury News sports editor back then, how he knew. And so I kind of pieced together that Big Dave Meltzer knew, and Big Dave Meltzer and I are from the same city, so he would have known that local newspaper. And I'm sure they had chit-chatted. I'm sure it comes from Dave, essentially. But so fast forward to that match, and like my dad, he's kind of he thinks it's kind of crazy that I'm that into it that I actually know the finishes. Because when he was telling me about wrestling growing up, he was like, I liked it until my favorite wrestler, Pepper Gomez, was just an idiot one too many times, and then I lost interest. So he's like, yeah, you know, I went through this phase too, and this, you know, I understand it. And so when Hogan actually loses that match, I'm mad, and he's like, how are you mad at this? Like, you knew, you were one of the only people who knew exactly what was going to happen. And so you can't really be angry at what happened. And I swear to God, I may have created this phrase. May have been the first time this phrase has been uttered in the history, even though it wouldn't come into play until a little bit later. I was like, yeah, but still. As an 11-year-old, and I was still sad that that Hulkamania lost on that night. So, you know, fast forward a year, they're basically running the same playbook back, where they're doing the Friday night main event because they want to have the Mega Powers explode in primetime. Now, it doesn't work quite as well, but it still works to a pretty decent in a pretty decent manner, which leads to WrestleMania 5 in the match that we're going to talk about, Hogan and Savage, which is the best-selling WWE pay-per-view in a shrunken pay-per-view ecosystem, I think, until maybe WrestleMania 14 or 15. So it has like a 10-year or 11-year run of being the biggest-selling WWE pay-per-view of all time.
And I'm a weirdo because I think I actually have this somewhere. Hold on. No, I don't actually have I thought I had it. I don't have the actual buys handy. Anyway, I think the other point I'm going to make is so people know the way they were doing these main events, they're also doing it as a build-up to Mania. So the first one, essentially, they would run the February special. Mania is going on March in this era. So, like, in this one, like, Andre wins, right? And he's supposed to give the belt to DiBiase, but the belt is held up. And there's a tournament, and Macho Man wins, right? Yep. And you mentioned that, like, Hogan was going off to do No Holds Barred.
Yep.
And Hogan is now back, right? And I mean, Randy wins as a babyface because he wins, like, big babyface. He beats DiBiase and, like... But
Hogan helps him win that match, by the way.
Yes.
It's DiBiase with a chair.
Elizabeth runs to the back and gets Hogan to even the odds, and he does help Savage win. So there's even a tie-in, you know, a year earlier to where this match happens. And, you know, wrestling, doesn't really work that way anymore. Like it's very rare that you're going to have a tie-in that people actually remember. Now AEW will have these tie-ins and I'll be like, wait, when did this happen? It's like, oh, on a random collision 7.5 months ago. And I'm like, how am I supposed to remember that? But you know, when you don't have that much TV and it's all squash matches and video packages, you remembered that stuff back then. So a little bit different than today.
Yeah, they would repeat, and like a lot of these stories like get these long-term builds for that. And so yeah, I mean, like the setup for this was the Mega Powers against Akeem and the Big Boss Man. Akeem, great gimmick.
I mean, you know, Akeem, the African Dream, and you know his whole shtick is
Dusty.
You know, doing
It's
Dusty
Dusty.
stuff.
Yeah,
And you know, that match. I mean, if you think about it, we don't have this really in wrestling anymore with the how big those dudes were. But Akeem and the Boss Man were just giant dudes, right? So you have these twin tower, and that's what they were called, Twin Towers, taking the name from Akeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson from the Houston Rockets in 1985, 86, and 84 through 86. They're taking that name, but obviously before the actual, you know, 9/11 happens, and then you can't really use that name anymore. But you know, these guys are just giant men, and that was also part of the Vince McMahon playbook, is you put the biggest humans on earth and make them look, you know, unbeatable. What did Gorilla Monsoon used to say? The what did he used to say?
Irresistible force versus the immovable object.
yeah.
Right. And that's how they would promote these guys. So Savage is not that big. Now, as a normal human being, Savage is a pretty big guy, but compared to those guys, not that big. And so that's also part of the dynamic. And then you have the manager, Elizabeth, the valet, who actually takes a bump in this match. And I don't know if she got hurt for real, but that was a really good bump that she took.
And they have to carry her back, so the story, I don't know if you're gonna. I mean, I think they'll show it on the video package here, but like the story is like, yeah, Elizabeth takes the bump, and Hogan carries her to the back, right? I think in Macho, obviously, I loses the match, and like they go back. No, they win, but like he carries her back, and I know like Savage does the great promo. You have jealous eyes.
Right. And
you have jealous eyes. You have lust in your
jealous eyes, brother.
The main part of Elizabeth taking that bump, again, this is really detailed, and you know, wrestling is not always this detailed anymore because there's just so much stuff. But Macho Man doesn't actually see Elizabeth get bumped, so all he sees is Hogan picking her up and taking her to the back, really not having any idea that she is injured or anything. And so that's where the jealousy kind of hits him. And so then, you know, when they get to the back, there's an actual flub in this one because they're doing like a countdown because it's on TV.
Yeah.
But you know, Savage attacks him and he kind of throws Elizabeth to the ground, and then you know, Brutus is there and he hits Brutus. And so, you know, this is really like,
I mean, it's a really interesting kind of, because they've played up on Macho, kind of Randy being kind of the possessive boyfriend to Elizabeth. Like that's been kind of a long-term like stewing thing. Again, very interesting, good storytelling. So essentially like when he pushes her down, right? It's part of selling. Oh my God, right? Like the abusive and kind of like bad boyfriend.
Yeah, and he had stopped doing that as a babyface, where he was like putting her in front of him as a shield.
Yes.
And for that moment, it's like he snapped. And the thing about this angle that is I think the best thing about this angle is you can actually empathize with both sides.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Hogan, there's a moment where, you know, I think it's at SummerSlam where Savage puts her on his shoulder and Hogan like like supports her, but like has his hand on like her left butt cheek or something. And so you're like, oh, this is a married man. Like, what are you doing? The married woman. And then there's a moment, I think it's after the Survivor Series, where Hogan is celebrating with the two of them, and then Savage throws them a look like right as they go to black. And it's still little stuff like that. And then there's the Royal Rumble scenario where I think Savage gets tossed out. And so like all of this stuff is just building up to this moment, and it's excellent storytelling. Now, you know, today in wrestling, it's so much more about matches. And if we're gonna watch this Savage and Hogan match, and I think it's gonna still be pretty decent, but it's gonna be so different from the wrestling that we see today.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one point is both these guys. I mean, obviously, Savage is one of the great all-time workers. Hogan is underrated and can step up when it's required. My defense of Hogan has always been Hogan understood how much he needed to work in a particular environment, and like a lot of times you'll see him like he's working like maybe 25% speed, but you can see him occasionally kind of step up. Right.
And I think on the story on this, like the background story on this is Savage had like 103 or 104-degree fever allegedly during this match. He had the flu, so it's Savage like sort of sick coming in, and the performance that he gets out of it's pretty great. Actually, it's pretty great. Because we know the whole Hogan like formula. We all know the Hogan formula, and we're about to see that, and I can't wait to see that happen. So let me just put a pause right here.
What a difference a year makes. A year ago at this time, you were at the side of the Macho Man when he became the undisputed world champ. 1 year later, you're going to be challenging this very same man for the world crown.
1 year ago, brother, me and the Macho Man were as one. We were best of friends. I should have seen this thing coming, man. As the Mega Power team was formed, brother, the Mania was a little bit ahead of the madness, man.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan, I remember way back when the Mega Powers were bonded. Yeah, you made a lot of promises to the Macho Man, didn't you? Promises that you didn't keep.
He made me believe that he was in my corner, Mean Gene, and he was ready to fight all odds.
Macho Man Randy Savage went so far as to attack your Hulkamaniac.
Oh yeah, he did more than just attack the Hulkamaniacs, brother. It was him that was eaten alive by the jealousy. He couldn't handle the pressure.
You promised that Elizabeth would never be in a dangerous position. And who had to come in and make that critical save? The Macho Man, Randy Savage, covering for Hogan again. Hogan, I only come down to your matches when it's absolutely necessary. But you play by different rules. Yeah, you gotta get in your grandstanding and your hot dogging, don't you? Yeah,
brother, you're a cheap shot artist. You were never in my corner. All I want from you is your best. When Hulkamania puts you down, I want the whole world to realize that I beat you at your best. And what you gonna do, Macho Man, when the whole world full of Hulkamaniacs destroy you?
Play. Macho Man Randy Savage defending the WWF Heavyweight Title against the immortal Hulk Hogan.
Champion, the Macho Man Randy Savage.
You know, the thing about this match that always bothered me is, so Elizabeth was supposed to be in a neutral corner, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the idea was that Elizabeth was going to go with the winner. And so when Hogan wins, I think she actually does do some house shows where she's actually his valet, but she goes away very quickly. So I was always like, man, you guys didn't live up to this stipulation of Elizabeth staying with Hogan there. But you know,
I would say real life. I would not think that Macho Man in this era, Randy would want Elizabeth traveling with Hogan, right?
And I'm sure that's why they didn't do it. But also at the same time, if Hogan's the champion as a babyface, he doesn't really need a manager or a valet, right? She's kind of useless in that role. I think it was a hook to the match that they knew they weren't going to live up to, but it was just the idea of it.
It also kind of paints Hogan as like a homewrecker, which I don't think, some people.
Does.
It's like.
It is funny because I was telling Larry before we got on. I've been doing research on like Santo, and Santo was like the first tweener. Like people forget, like he was like this nasty weirdo. And so yeah, like Hogan working like a weirdo, but like being a heel and like or being a babyface, it does have a track record of success in wrestling. Like the big babyface is kind of a dick.
The other thing is. If you followed wrestling closely, you knew Hogan was married. But if you followed the idea of what WWE promoted, they never said he was married. So for all the fans knew, they didn't know that Macho Man and Elizabeth were married. So it was just kind of like the good guy coming in to steal the bad guy's lady. Like that's what it was. And Elizabeth was portrayed as, this very beautiful, demure princess. And of course you want her to go with Hogan. Like Hogan is the virtue, right? He's the virtuous guy. He's the good guy. He's everything that's right. And so that's kind of what they were selling. And then, but when you are a little bit older, and I'm sure the people who were older watching this were like, Hogan's just really a giant dick in this whole storyline. But to me, at 11 years old, I was like hook, line, and sinker for it. I was like, oh, this is my guy.
It is interesting. It is interesting that I think, like, to use a comparison with like Cena, I think Hogan would have, like, in a more modern era, would have gotten the Cena sucks, kind of like the dueling chance of like we love him, we hate him.
I mean, he did kind of get there by '92 when they were cheering Sid over him.
Yeah.
He would have got there earlier, but they ixnayed a Jake Roberts program where at the houses, Jake Roberts was getting cheered over him. And so they just killed it. They killed the program dead because they didn't want that on their TV. He was getting it by 92 for sure. And then if you fast forward to his WCW years, like he gets that initial pop in 95, but really it's Flair country, right? I guess 94. By 95, he's getting those boos. And then by 96, like actually late 95, he does an angle where he shows up in all black because he's ready for war because he's getting booed. So
Proto heel Hogan is kind of an interesting era.
And it kind of sets the tone for the NWO, which would come like, I don't know, 6 or 7 months later.
We're talking about the dark side of Hulk Hogan.
Well, I mean, he was a heel in his first WWE run, right? This is like kind of like, and I mean, they switch him on when he's in the AWA. Yeah, but it's not like it was an unfamiliar thing to him, right? And it makes sense. Eventually, you have to switch it.
Okay, but let's remember his most famous role today. Still, he had this long WWE career, right? Just long WWE career, long WCW career, just iconic in pro wrestling. He is still possibly, at least to people my age, best known as Thunder Lips, the Ultimate Male from Rocky II. And he's the heel in that
versus the Ultimate Meatball.
Yeah, he's a heel in that movie until the end when he kind of does the wink, wink, nudge, nudge about what pro wrestling really is.
Yeah, it is kind of funny that's that era. He's working. This is when he's working AWA and working Bachwinter, and they refuse to put the belt on. Well, story on that is they put the belt on him and they do the dusty finish where they take the belt away after. Which that
Well,
one.
I mean, the problem with that time frame for him is his money is in Japan,
Yes.
right? So he's wrestling in Japan more so. He doesn't need the title. He's leaving, every couple of months. And the whole reason why those gates are there for the house shows is with him as the challenger. You have him win that title, and it's probably kind of like what we see with someone like Hangman Page today, right? Like the whole journey is the title chase, and that's what the fans are into. And then the second Hangman gets the title, it's like, okay, what do we do now? It would have probably been very similar in the way that Vern Gagne booked in the AWA. So it was always better for Hogan to chase than to actually win the title, because Vern could have put the title on him. Like in late '83, Vern could have put the title on Hogan, and guess what? Hogan would have left and taken the title to WWF. Like the actual title wasn't really meaningful. It was the amount of money that he was going to.
Yeah, it was about Vern trying to get his payouts from Japan. I think one of the things that's kind of lightning in a bottle with WWE and Hogan is that because Vince raided territories, and in that era he had territories to raid. So the way it would work is Hogan would get all these monsters of the week that he could get, like all this new talent that could raid from different promotions, and bring them in to feud with Hogan on the short term, so they could find monsters or traveling monsters to work with him. Or find guys like Hennig, who's ex-AWA champion, bring him in to work, and different DiBiase, a guy who was, he was never NWA champion, but he possibly could have been, right? And you can bring all these guys from these different territories that have some history. You can bring Harley to work against him. You can bring Funk to work against him. You can bring all these guys, and it works. And I don't know it's necessarily something that would work in this era, because you don't have these guys to raid, right? You can't just bring these guys in that easy as you could, these big monster heels, right? It's funny because I do think it worked better in Japan.
Yeah.
Okada used to do the monster of the week thing, but it is a little bit hard to do it with a babyface now, because where are you finding these monsters to work with?
Oh, speaking of Japanese Hogan.
From Hogan, did you see that?
Yeah.
Japanese Hogan, there we go.
Japanese Hogan making an appearance.
He is the first IWGP champion, Larry.
Yeah.
So, I'm reading Dave Meltzer's 85 book, which is just all of his observers in one book. And
It rules,
there's
man. I love it.
There's
Great
a
back body drop.
company called Pro Wrestling USA, which is an amalgamation of, it's the AWA, Crockett, and Memphis, and some of these other territories, and they're trying to work together.
And I think it's local because they get the ESPN deal, right?
That would be a few years later.
But they get that ESPN slot, basically. Pro Wrestling USA. They got the deal around Slaughter, I remember.
So what happens is they're running these shows in WWE territories where WWE is very popular. And it's like Ric Flair against Tommy Rich and Rick Martel against somebody. And the formula is babyface sells, and then wins in the end. Now, in the age of it was Rick Martel against himself. Jimmy Garvin won the title, but then they dusty finished him. So the house show, the people who were at the house show just thought they may have seen a title thing. And so what Dave is writing, he's like, how stupid is this? Hulk Hogan, in every match, he wins in under 10 minutes. And so Ric Flair comes into town, and he sells for Tommy Rich for 45 minutes before winning by the skin of his teeth. If you are a fan who enjoys the Hulk Hogan experience, you are going to look at Ric Flair as a lesser than of Hulk Hogan. And so what happens in this Ric Flair match against Tommy Rich, this is sometime early in 85. I forget exactly where they are. They're somewhere like Pittsburgh or something. And about 10 minutes into the match, the crowd starts chanting, "We want Hogan." Like, to think about like what we know about Ric Flair as a wrestler, right? This is back in 85. The idea that you're competing and you have this, giant personality of Hulk Hogan that Vince McMahon is just hitting you over the head with. Gorilla Monsoon used to call him the greatest athlete in all of entertainment. And like, I used to always laugh at that because I'm like, brother, I just watched Michael Jordan, and like Hulk Hogan is not Michael Jordan, but I get it, So, but it's just, the idea of the promotion and the brainwashing and the influence and the other promoters just being behind in the game, and really, Vince McMahon he's promoting what the current version of wrestling is, and these other promoters are promoting what wrestling used to be, and they hadn't caught up yet. And there's a letter in one of those early 85 issues where a man by the name of William J. Watts writes into Dave, the president of Mid-South Sports, and he's like, "I'm so thankful that Vince McMahon has woken us up because we have to figure out how to work together in order to compete against him," which told me that Bill Watts was really saying, these promoters don't know what the hell they're doing, and we're going to get our asses kicked until we figure it out.
I want to say that for that era, right, a little bit further out, Watts UWF, I've always sworn by it. And I've always thought it was the best of that era. I mean, there's economic reasons to kill it, really. But
the oil crisis.
The oil crisis, yeah, in that era. And it just kills the Gates process. But they figured out a better formula by that time. It's much more exciting. You got like the young tags like floating around, like a little bit more theatrical with things like Eddie Gilbert, and like big dudes kind of beating the hell out of each other. Like it is a little bit like there's that APW style too. And it's a much more interesting kind of play. And again, sadly, obviously, everyone gets hit by the oil crisis. It kills a bunch of like towns, like New Orleans and like across the South and like Texas. And then you end up just with WWE really and like WCW after JCP sells, right? So it is a very kind of consolidated time. Like basically on the down cycle, like a bunch of companies just die in there, which is sad. Even like, we're talking about Global. Global out of Global out of like Texas. So, yeah, they're kind of out of Dallas. Yeah, that's not going on.
This
is a really good match. Like, I mean, like,
they're both moving pretty well.
I
forgot that Hogan got blood here. I haven't watched this in ages.
I was about to say, I was trying. We were talking, so I wasn't looking as closely, but I was like, man, I wanted to figure out where Hogan actually busted out the gigs to
because I was like, I was trying to figure that out too.
I think he threw him against the corner. I think that's when it happened. I think he threw him against the corner. That's when it happened. And he weirdly is not bleeding that much now. I think he was just like a very short.
Well, get ready. The sweat's gonna make him more bloody. But my co-host on the Fight Game podcast, John the Rock, one of his big skills in life is figuring out exactly when and where the gig is coming.
I love those short little macho punches, man. Now he's gonna try to open him up. The thing that's interesting
about this match, as I'm watching this match, it is all intensity, right? Like what Macho Man is doing, it's not anything. Gorilla Monsoon may say, it's the strategy and he's keeping Hogan the big man off of the seat. But really what it is it's just an intensity that he has, and sort of like an urgency. Like whenever Hogan thinks he's actually going to make a comeback, Macho Man sees the urgency and he has to he has to beat him to the punch.
You know who works? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I'll tell you, we've been watching Puerto Rico from that era, and there's a big Puerto Rico connection because of Gorilla and Quiñones and The Office, and they would trade back and forth. But the style they work in that era is very similar because like it's some of these like high level matches. It's like it's not a super technical match, but it's all intensity, right? It's all very fast. They're all working like very hard. And again, obviously, Macho's selling and Hogan's selling. So this match just works, and the crowd is going wild. So this really works, right? So this is great.
And it's like I wouldn't consider this a fight, right? Like this is not these guys wanting to beat each other up. But the intensity of Macho Man is like if he was in a real sporting contest. Like this isn't about high spots or anything. Like he's in an actual contest and he's wrestling like there's an urgency to beat this guy and he's got a strategy to beat this guy, which is really cool because
this is a critical moment. Sorry, we missed it. Like, but like Elizabeth tries to help him and Macho isn't having it. Right?
He pulls away.
He's frustrated.
I'm gonna say that bump he took over the top rope was a hellacious bump for that. Like
Body
that's
slam.
Yeah, he's landing. He's going over the top, landing on his hand and his face on like that like tiny rubber mat. That was a hellacious bump for that era. Hellacious. Yeah.
Was that Victor in the front row?
Might have been. Yeah.
Where's Trump? I'm trying to figure out where is it. Did Trump already take a hike and get
I
out of
believe
there,
so.
or is he still there?
Was it here or was it at 84 where he's sitting next to the mobster?
Probably both.
Probably both. Right into the post.
Oh, that's a great spot right there.
It'd be funny to see now she's helping Hogan.
Well, Hogan had Savage on his shoulders and he was going to kind of lawn dart him into the steel post and she stood in the way so that he couldn't. And so then Savage gets off of his shoulder, pushes Hogan into that same post, and Elizabeth has got to get out of dodge. So it kind of backfires, and now he's got his hand right back in her face as she's trying to help Hogan.
I feel like this is the part where Macho loses because he can't use Elizabeth as a distraction here. So he sends her back.
Whenever he would put his hand underneath her chin, it's like, have you ever done that in real life before? You could do that a little bit too well, Macho Man. There.
Yeah,
look too.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great kick to the back of Hogan's head. That's like Akira Maeda style.
I think I just saw Patterson there.
Oh, we got the bombs away from the top rope to the outside. That's a hype, man. I loved how they filmed this before. Because that shot right there, it makes it look like Hogan is taking a drop from a guy diving out of an airplane. That was great framing.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing to highlight is because they were working with NBC at the time and never saw that. Like, yeah, the production is just top tier.
And that is actually a callback to late '86, which is Savage draping Steamboat's throat over the guardrail, and he takes Steamboat out, and Steamboat's out for a little while, and then he comes back, and that's the WrestleMania 3 match, and it leads to Vince McMahon's infamous line that Ricky the Dragon Steamboat swallowed his own tongue.
Trying to do what he did to Steamboat. There you go. Okay. Jesse's great on this, by the way. Jesse's so good on this.
Yeah, Jesse was always close to Savage and Piper until they turned babyface. Like, it was like they were his buddies, and anytime he was calling their stuff, it was always like those were his boys.
This crowd is into this. Very good.
We got the wrist tape to choke him out.
This is what is missing in pro wrestling today. Is heels wrestling like heels.
We need the intensity, man.
Like we know. I don't know when this is gonna air, But we are, a week and a half away from in real time of
Revolution.
MJF and Hangman. MJF will cheat. He will do a cheating move, but he is way more interested in out wrestling the Hangman than he is in like cheating to win, and that's not what the wrestling that I grew up on. These guys, any way to get the heat was what they would do, and stuff like Macho Man wearing the
strangling
wrist tape,
Hogan.
and when the referee's not, when the referee's not watching, he's putting it around Hogan's throat, and then he's hiding it and he's protecting it, and the referee's gonna go look at Hogan, and then he's gonna put it back in his tights. Like that stuff we don't really see anymore.
I need somebody working with a cast, Garrett.
Who was it? Wasn't it
Big elbow.
Big elbow, baby.
You know where it's happening. 1, 2, and he pushes
Ooh, there it is.
Macho out.
There it is. There it is. This match
There it
is
is.
story. I mean, like,
Hulk up, baby?
yeah.
Didn't Mark Davis have like a gimmick on his hand from when he bladed his hand?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I thought he could have done like a little thing where he wore some protection over his hand and then used it in matches.
And then Don
Brody
eventually talked
had
about,
the.
no, he's got a medical note. That is a medical
think-
device he has on his hand.
I think Brody used the cast last year against Okada at Revolution, but it didn't really get that much of a reaction. I was there, so
I mean,
there it is.
I mean,
Big boot.
Brody, there we go. Oh, look at the
Dropping the
flash.
leg.
Jeez.
1. The crowd is gonna go. That explosion at the win. Good God.
If we were watching this through 2026 eyes, one of my notes on this match was, and this is literally the Hogan character, but I don't know how long was this match, Larry?
So from the entrances, it's probably like about 15 minutes.
So it's like 13 minutes of Hogan selling, and then all of a sudden he eats Macho's finisher, the kick out and the Hulk up and the leg drop, like just nullifies the 13 minutes of him getting his ass kicked in this entire match.
I remember they were tag teaming against like the Horsemen at WCW, and Hulk Hogan was out. So Macho Man dropped an elbow on him, and that powered up Hulk Hogan. I remember that as a kid. I was like, man, why is he gonna drop an elbow on Hulk? Oh, because that's what wakes him up. Because he eats an elbow, he's gonna kick out. But yeah, man, the program that built up to this match, and you bring up that this was the most bought pay-per-view in that era, it totally makes sense. Using NBC in prime time to build up this match, and these are two of like the biggest characters of the 80s. If you ask anybody, like even my age, like I'm 41, to name wrestlers, they'll name Hulk Hogan, they'll name Randy Savage, they'll name The Rock, and they'll name Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I think this match is pretty enduring. These two wrestlers are iconic in pro wrestling, and I know like it's a little gauche now to like praise Hulk Hogan for whatever, but like there was like no bigger star in wrestling at the time. Still like, and we were talking about like working like heels, and like Randy Savage had this intensity and this desperation. The desperation is key to this match, because he's so desperate to get one over on Hogan, and he wants to get one over on Hogan without using Elizabeth, and he wants to send her to the back because he thinks he can do it on his own, because he doesn't have her anymore in his corner. And
well, I mean, it's clear that she's not going to help him, like, because she's trying to help both. So he's like, okay, if you're here to help both, then you're absolutely of no help to me. So you got to go.
Yeah,
and I think my note on that is, even though, I mean, the story of the match is pretty simple. It's like he's giving it, like Randy's giving it his all, and he gives all the effort, and then he hits the finisher. Once he kicks out, I mean, like, I get why the finish is so fast, because the other part is, I mean, Hogan's finisher is very protected, right? So, like, it's like, I'm trying to remember if anybody kicked out of it at any point, and I can't come up.
The Ultimate Warrior moved. That was like the first time, I think.
Right. And that was kind of like
The first man to kick out of it was Psycho Sid. Sid Justice at WrestleMania 8.
Yeah, Sid. We can talk about Sid and how this is, by the way, like I think one thing important, like this is I would call it a bad card outside of it's a one match card.
There's like 14 matches on this show or something.
Yeah, but it's really like it's a one. I would say it's like one match is really drawing this house. The other two long matches are like it's Rude versus the Warrior for the Intercontinental. I mean that's probably. I mean that goes 9 minutes. And then
there's a Rockers against, is it the Dream Team? I mean, not the Dream Team, the Twin Towers.
I think so.
So it's Twin Towers versus the Rockers. That's like the Twin Towers beat the Rockers, which sounds like and it's Akeem, Big Boss. And that probably is.
I think in that match, Shawn Michaels gets a Hurricane Rana on Boss Man. It's a fun.
I remember that match being good. And
Bossman and Akeem were both. Bossman and Akeem were both decent. Okay, actually, Bossman I would say is leaning toward good by this era.
I mean, he's about to post this match. Yeah. He's about to be probably Hogan's best opponent,
right?
For the run. Do you guys remember? And I know we're about to get out of here, but do you guys remember the next? Maybe the only Hogan Savage match that really mattered after this one.
Buster Douglas?
It was the Buster Douglas match, and it was the very next main event, I believe. And so originally it was supposed to be Hogan and Savage with Mike Tyson as the referee. Obviously, you get Mike Tyson. That's really the hook for the NBC ratings. And so that's why you have Hogan and Savage, even though it really it didn't mean much at that point. But then Tyson loses to Buster Douglas, and I may have been the only person going like, okay, well, what happens to Hogan and Savage the next week on main event? And I was very hopeful that Buster Douglas would take the spot, and he did. And yeah, that was kind of the last match I think in WWF that they had that really mattered. And I do have one piece of Dick Ebersol trivia. Ooh. I read Dick's book, and he said whenever the Saturday Night Main Event cards would happen, you get a call on Sunday from one human being looking for the Fast National ratings. Who do you think that human being was?
Dave?
I don't know if Dave had Ebersol's number or not, but that would have been a good one.
Was it Vince McMahon?
It was Randy Savage. He said Randy Savage
that's crazy.
Cared so much about that stuff that he would actually call Dick for the Fast National ratings after Saturday night's main event.
I think am I wrong to think that Dick? I've heard somewhere that Dick Ebersol was a subscriber at one point. So yeah, possible.
I'm sure he did. I'm reading the 85 Observer, and Dave is already sensing that Vince is working to get some sort of national broadcast partner, and Dave's like, look, this is the game changer of all game changers. If Vince McMahon can put on his show in front of the largest audience possible, like he's winning. Like there's no doubt about it. Now, what would happen is it wouldn't be a weekly, broadcast show. It would be periodical, but still, them getting Saturday night's main event was part of the whole recipe of success here.
Yeah, and I want to thank you, Garrett, for coming on here, helping me on the road to WrestleMania. This has pretty much become the road of the Macho Man being the Mr. WrestleMania of the golden age of wrestling, 80s wrestling to the 90s. And I want to say thank you for coming here, man. You came here with so much knowledge and dropping all those stories on us, and I want to say thank you for that, man. Because honestly, I wanted to do, when I invited you here, I wanted to do sort of like a news thing, but like I felt like my brain has been exploding with so much news like throughout the day. Like, cause like we do something now and then something else is gonna pop. Cause
Yeah.
just to date this, we had like the Paramount thing, and then we had like Zaslav selling his stocks. We had like all that stuff, and I have that ready to go for you if you have time, maybe like later this week or whatever. But like for now, I kind of want to give my brain a rest and like because I've been reading up on all that stuff. I want to say thank you for coming on because originally I wanted to like have you on and do that, but I wanted to have a little bit more fun tonight, and I want to say thank you for coming on here, man. I know like we're all wife guys here, so we all are listening to our wives about when we can go and when we can't go. So I want to say thank you for coming on, man.
No, I'm I love doing this stuff. I also love doing the other stuff, and if you want to talk about that stuff, as long as my schedule is open, I'm game to do this stuff. You know that I support you in your venture here, and I support I want to help out as much as I can. I want to come on and help people get their own stuff off the ground, and I know that you've found some successes in what you're doing, and most importantly, like you have a passion for it, and it's kind of become a major hobby for you. So I really love it. I mean, it's why I have Fight Game Media, right? I don't have Fight Game Media necessarily for my own self. I have it so that people who want to do this in like a fun and hobbyist way can actually do it and do it in a way that they can, because I know how to produce and all that other stuff. So yeah, I support you, and I support all the people who are kind of doing this. Everyone, it's just a grind, right? It's a grind that you enjoy, and it's not really making anybody rich, but it's kind of part of your lifestyle and your passion to get your voice out there. So I definitely support that.
Yeah, Garrett, like I always tell everybody when I come on here, that Garrett's like my mentor. Like he is like my guiding light for the podcasting thing, and finding people like Artuoo, like BJ Bethel, to come on here and like we like form this partnership and make this show. And like I always tell like everybody that comes on here that wants to do like whether it's State of Wrestling or do this like SMES stuff with me, like if you find this like something that you want to do, I'm not holding your hand here, but I think that you could, if you want to do it, you can go ahead and do it. And Garrett was one of those guys that told me like, I like what you're doing and I believe in you, and let's go. And I want to say thank you for that, Garrett. Like having like meeting you in person, you and Jeremy, that was really transformative for me as far as like getting the grind and like meeting these people and making those partnerships and networking. And I think that what's really important here is if you reach out to somebody, just reach out. You never know what's going to happen, because, I can say like Garrett is one of my personal friends. He actually knows my shoot name. So one of the few people to do it, because, I do my Lucha kayfabe stuff. So once again, Garrett, thank you for coming. Again, you can find Garrett on Fight Game Media. You can find Garrett like every week, like I do, listening to him and Dave talk on the Wrestling Observer. Mm-hmm. And now I'm doing your plugs for you, brother. So, what else do you want to tell the people out there?
Yeah, I have a show that I'm doing. It's a 1-year project. Me and my buddy, we were born 3 days apart, so we both turned 50 this year. And he's a giant music head. Like he's knowledgeable about music in a way that I am sort of knowledgeable about sports or whatever. And so we're doing an episode a week on an album that came out in the years that we were born. So anything from 76 through 2005, we're picking one album for every year, and we're kind of just deep diving on it and talking about what's going on in music at that time, what we're doing at that time. And it's called 50 for 50. And so if you go to 50for50.net, all of our stuff is out there. We are I'd say we've done 7 or 8 episodes already for this year, and we got to get all the way to 50. So it's like a year-long project. We will get there. It's a grind, but I like it because, the one thing that I say to people about podcasting, especially if you have a partner, what it is it's an excuse to talk to your friend. Like that's literally what it is. We text all the time now. we're in Discords, we're on Twitter. It's very rare for someone to dial up somebody and listen to their voice and call them. So podcasting to me is a way for me to talk to my friends once a week, and it's kind of what it is.
Yeah, man. So once again, thank you for coming on here. I gotta wait until you get to 96 and you get to some Too Short and E40. I'm waiting for that, man.
We already did 96. We did Tupac, All Eyes on Me.
Tupac. Oh yeah. Oh man, I love that. I'm gonna listen to 50 for 50. Go to that. The links on all that stuff is gonna be in the episode description. So once again, Garrett, from me to you, thank you so much for coming on here. Thank you so much for putting me on. Thank you so much for letting me put you on my show and give me that credibility. This always rules, and yeah, man, I'll talk to you next time. Hopefully, we can get some work done on that new stuff, because I have a whole lot. If we can do it, we'll do it.
Yeah, I'm game. That's really the special sauce for me.
I think we try to pick a point where we can kind of because this is meant to be more as you said, it's a fun conversation, but also we want to have an interesting and different conversation. Yeah. So we try to keep it not necessarily breaking news, but it's really more like a magazine. We're going to talk about long format. We'll talk about the news, and we'll speculate, and hopefully people will enjoy what we're talking about. Right? We try to keep it a little bit different than what people do. And yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a conversation. I enjoy talking to Larry. I enjoy talking to BJ and all our guests. And Garrett, thank you for helping Doc give me the space to talk about the things that I enjoy. Where else am I going to talk about general relativity in wrestling?
Yeah. No, it was good. It was good to meet you, Arturo. Larry has told me about you, and so I know that you guys are kind of on this journey together, and it's good to have somebody who's kind of by your side and who has the same passion and has the same thought process on and can help you come up with ideas and stuff. So good job, and good job for both of you guys finding each other.
Yeah, man. So once again, Garrett Gonzales, Fight Game Media, Wrestling Observer, 50 for 50, Bay Area Sports Network. Yeah, dude, I know all your stuff, Garrett. I know all your stuff. I do my homework. So follow him on Twitter. Follow him everywhere, man. Garrett Gonzales, one of the best minds in pro wrestling, one of the best minds that I just talked to, because one of the best people I know. Honestly, man, you are one of my favorite mentors in this thing, and I want to say thank you again. This has been great. And to everybody out there, you know what it is. See you next time, but Arturo, en español, por favor.
Y aquí, después de haber visto la WrestleMania 5 de Trump Tower en Nueva Jersey, donde Hulk Hogan, el inmortal, recobró su título ante el Macho Man Randy Savage, les decimos buenas noches.